quorum. Do you guys want to get going?
Okay. Just kicking it over.
Well, you didn't sit at the end of the table whose head is in the way of the, okay, and still me.
You're good.
Good morning, everybody. We'll call to order the meeting for the Finger Lakes Economic Development Center. We'll start with an introduction of our guests, and it looks like we have Russ Genzel with Harris Beach on online. So thanks for joining us, Russ.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I was wearing video today as I'm traveling.
All right, no worries. Thanks, Russ, for being here.
Good morning.
We'll move on with our agenda. Item 2 is an executive session if we need it. And do we need it today? I don't think so. Okay. Then we'll move on to the review and approval of our minutes from our June 19th meeting.
Should be June 18th.
Should be June 18th. So there's our first
Mistake on the agenda, but
mistake on the agenda.
the minutes are correct.
Yep, and it is the 18th.
I was like, oh, missed that.
It asks, or start with a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mary Ann.
Thanks, Mary Ann. And a second?
Second, Janice.
Yes. Are there any comments, questions, revisions to make to the minutes? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Do we have any changes in the agenda today?
Our action items will add Estabrook lease renewal.
Okay. So we added item number 5. And we'll move on to our finance report. You have for us, Doreen.
Okay, check number 6591 to 6615 and E185 to E189, and those all total $41,147.03. I think I had anything out of the ordinary there. I didn't know if anybody had any comments, a little easier to read.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I didn't have any questions. The month of June profit and loss statement was in there. It was a pretty low activity month. There's the regular business activity and slightly positive, which keeps us ahead of schedule for the year. Year-to-date results are tracking favorable to budget. Everything sounds really good on that front. Just start with a motion then on finance report and paying those specific checks. So we make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Steve. Steve.
I'll second.
Jesse. Any comments or questions for Doreen and the team on the finance material? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. And management reports. What do you guys have for us? Who wants to start?
The only update I have is the elevator fix. The new parts were under $200, but with labor, that's going to be another additional $3,000 repair. But we have to have the elevators.
So be.
I have gone back to them to ask them to clarify that a little bit more with the labor and all that. And they are eating some labor costs due to the.
We've had ongoing challenges with the repairs. It's an older elevator, I think, as we discussed last board meeting, and some of the electronic boards they had to put in. 2 of them came up broken that were shipped, and they came out here with the broken pieces. So they've been, and then they supposedly this latest challenges, even after they finally got a board that works installed, another board elsewhere went bad or didn't work with it.
Not communicating.
So now they have to repair that. That's what this latest repair would be.
But the boards are only $200, but the labor's $3,000.
For the new additional repair, yeah, I've asked them, I sent them an email late yesterday afternoon to clarify that.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
The first
We also
board,
picked the wrong
the
career.
first board,
Yeah.
the first board wasn't broken, but it didn't work for some some reason,
$300 an hour.
Yeah, and it should be,
Three
should
hundred
be 10 hours, I can't imagine.
$300 an hour, yeah.
Usually motherboards are just a plug it in.
Yeah, I know,
Okay, so you're getting some backup.
yes.
There you have Joe, be around. Sure they're not burning hours.
Yeah.
And they're coming from Buffalo,
Rochester.
Rochester, so you get an hour each way. Okay. The other longer range, they're still just in the early phases of just seeing what other companies talk about,
Yes.
what the prices may be for replacing them.
So the Millie's Pantry, they're putting in a whole elevator, and she said their preliminary costs were 800,000. But she said it might come lower, it might come more, cause they were finalizing their electrical for that. And she said, I can let you know what I said, I don't need to know, I just need to know your estimate for whatever. So what they quoted me for the modernization of 125, 150 is pretty good, I guess, compared to a brand new elevator.
Yeah, that's an old building on Main Street with no shaft there or anything. It's just
Yeah.
all-
Build
it's
a
all-
shaft and everything, yeah.
It is a 3-story.
And the buildings has to stand while they're doing it and when they're done.
There's a lot more bulk than that.
Yeah.
When I read the notes, I thought they were putting in one of those electric stair chair things.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that-
That'd be a lot cheaper.
Why not?
Well,
It'd
that's
be
true
a
too, it
bonfire.
might not be.
Anything else for you, Doreen?
I do not have anything else, anybody's got any questions or?
Mike, what do you have for us?
Just mention that we had Empire State Development come in again. They did this last year, rolling out the consolidated funding application. Empire State Development, Steve Golding came down and met with 7 different businesses from across the county, servicing 4 different industries: retail, manufacturing, craft beverage, agriculture. Talking with the business about potential projects, future projects that they may have, and Empire State Development's programs that are available to help those potential projects. So, worked out really well last year. We had 5 different businesses awarded grants that attended those meetings with, well, not all of them, using similar programs. So hopefully we'll have a few that have similar results this year. They rolled out a new small manufacturing program that we tapped into a lot of our manufacturers, legacy based, so that'd be 10 years in operations to qualify for the grant, but it does anything to help for modernization, advanced technologies, to improve efficiencies for those manufacturers. And that, there's certainly going to be some projects out of there. We don't know if they're necessarily use this round of grant funding for it. We'll stay in contact with those businesses to make sure we're involved on their projects as they come to fruition.
We hit last year pretty well, as they had a specific craft beverage grant, micro grant. And so a lot of those meetings were with craft beverage companies, and then they did not renew it despite efforts to try to get them to renew that grant. It was a $5 million grant last year for the entire state. This was a $10 million grant for the entire state for small manufacturers, so it's gonna be really competitive. So I mean, I think our odds are not as great as last year's. I mean, we won't, just it's a much larger pool that is going after, definitely more than double the size of the applicant, the potential applicant pool, and only double the size of the amount of money that's available for it, so.
The grant awards were significantly higher. You can apply for more money, where last year's maximum grant amount was 50,000, so 5 million further. Was asking for 250
Sure.
out of 10 million.
On the state's end, a lot of times on our end, it doesn't really matter the amount of the grant, it's the same amount of effort to put in to get all the paperwork and process, so it doesn't surprise me the state opted for larger grants. But we'll see, county that does it this way, that actually sets up individual meetings ahead of time. And see, because they keep calling that out in the regional council meetings that, you know, that each county sets up meetings and the other counties basically just would have Steve come in and present just a high level overview of each program and then take some, you know, Q&A at the end and kind of disperse. So if we got overwhelmed, we were gonna kind of flex a little bit and do something similar, like try to get all the manufacturers in maybe for an hour and a half, 2 hours at once, and let them go over those specific programs and ask questions, but we didn't. It continued to work with just these one-on-ones.
What's the timeline for that?
The deadline for, it depends on the program, but a lot of the programs have a deadline of July 31st, right around the corner. Other programs are more of a rolling application basis, but that small manufacturers one that I mentioned was the 31st, so.
Do we think wineries would qualify on that?
They would. Yep, I think I've reached out to a couple. One came in and met with Steve, and then another was gonna set up a call with them. So it's available to all, craft beverage as well, so breweries, wineries, distilleries.
And there was a couple other manufacturers that couldn't get, you know, tough modification schedules are popping up, so it didn't work great for a lot of companies, but you get the context there. And then they do have, if all of it isn't allocated, then whatever is unallocated will be available at the next deadline, which will be about 3 or 4 months from now. I think they're, if I recall, they're changing, instead of doing 4 rounds, this year they're only doing 3 rounds, so 4 months likely, the next one will be due.
Is that?
Other than that, I'm working on the grant for Dundee, same deadline, the 31st, so next week and a half is gonna be focused pretty largely on that. Made some good progress already, going down, to pick up some applications today, supposed to go down yesterday, but didn't work out, so after this, scoot down, grab those, and then, should have about 5 different businesses that have formally applied, informally, I guess, applied, for the pool of funding. Put a strong application forward and hopefully get something for the village there and start a few projects, and then
How much
we'll
are you,
come after that.
how much you think you're asking for?
Thinking right now, hopefully ask for like 250 is the goal. I wanna see, have the applications get 2 a day, have 2 more emailed, hopefully by the end of today. So I'll have that locked in.
Amy says, she's waiting in the lobby. Zoom.
Okay, have a-
She may- Okay, I may not have the right link.
I can send it to her.
Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, there's, oh, thank you.
That would have confused me.
Thank you, Ryan. Maximum award for a commercial only project is 50,000, and then each building's eligible for an additional 25,000 per residential unit, with a maximum grant amount of 100,000. I know there's one building that's gonna be doing both, asking for that full 100,000, the other projects, there's another one that maybe we could get 75,000, because they're doing one apartment, and then the rest would be that around that, asking for that 50,000. Hoping to get 3 new or renovated apartments out of it. Couple
So
storage.
that money also qualifies for interior renovations?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like the skid?
Yep, no, facade, interior renovation, for both mixed use, commercial and residential. And then there will be, if awarded, there's a small portion, small percentage that can be applied to general streetscape for the village. Trees, signage.
Good.
Yep.
Matt's got a text from Serene that she should be here shortly, 3:80 ran late. Only, well, not the only things I'll add, unless there's any questions on this stuff that I had listed here. We did get resubmitted, I haven't seen anything back yet. The OSC did their annual review of our Paris submissions and came back with quite a few, less questions than typical, which I think is based off of the very long conversations I've had with them in previous years, mainly over just how, or everyone with it, but how they tally the total job numbers, which has always been a challenge, specifically for projects that have expanded multiple times before a pilot expired. It was very confusing how they wanted it. How they wanted it done made sense, except the ABO, Authority Budget Office, then comes in and takes those same figures and uses them a different way and shines negative light on it. So we got through that also. The questions this time were really very minor. Some of them the same things we get every year, just on some procurement things, and then just a couple of numbers transposed that we didn't catch before they went in, but really pretty minor. They submitted them back, haven't heard anything back, so I'm hoping that can be done, which would be 3 to 4 months before we normally get through that. So normally we get done right about the time we start collecting data again. So that's helpful. Along the DRI projects, one of the things that we're pushing, I don't think I have it on here yet, but you see the village of Pennsylvania's got through, or very close to completing a number of their streetscape projects, the parking lot behind sort of the tavern in Cuca, Microtel, that's been redone, and the Indian Pines just reopened, which is a pretty substantial redo there. That's where they moved the entire parking lot back. So the grass has been reseeded and everything, so they added a substantial more amount of green space there. So that'll I think be really nice once that's kind of grown back in and said. And if you've ever been to the Indian Pines parking lot, that was in real need of some rework there. There was some pretty impressive potholes in that place. Next thing we're kind of on those DRI projects, and it is showing itself now, is parking challenges. So we have a couple of projects that we're trying to push through that would utilize currently vacant space downtown, but it would add a fairly substantial amount, relatively speaking, based on normal buildings in downtown, of residential parking need. And then you run into, what do we do with these parking spots now? I don't remember how much, we mentioned this last board meeting or not, but so we did like how many spots are taken up just for employees. Okay, so the plan has gone forward to, at least not a plan, an example of what we think could work, has gone at least to a couple members of the village, the mayor and one of the trustees, just for them to take a look at. And they are trying to schedule whether a special meeting is scheduled or it's just part of their normal monthly trustee meeting. They're gonna bring it up, which would include paid parking meters and enforcement of current regulations and such. So it's bound to generate some comments and discussions around the community, but not too many communities now that don't charge for parking. This would be, the thought would be to mirror, very similar to Cooperstown, which has paid parking for the busy time, so basically Memorial to Labor, and then back to normal. But with residential parking permits that building owners would likely apply for. And then they would have to sort of be in charge of making sure they get the right information on the vehicles that would be staying at there and getting it to the village and to enforcement. So
so there's a living resident, like you're saying, like, I live in an apartment in downtown Penn Yan, I have one sticker, but if, for me, living here and being a local person, I would have a different sticker, so that I could pull up, run into the nest egg and get a gift and leave without paying for parking during that time. If you're a non-resident, then you have to pay, and there's, apps, and I don't know how many different apps they have to work.
Right, right.
So, that might be something to consider as well, to tamp down the local,
Mhm.
feedback of, I live here year round and I don't wanna pay to park when I'm gonna go support the local economy kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like it felt like it was two tiers.
Yeah, it's interesting.
My assumption is that's the stuff that'll come up in the first meeting, because what do we know? We looked at a couple different examples and said, here's some ideas, but
Do you know what meeting agenda it's on?
there isn't one yet.
Given my parking tickets, I would suggest, you mentioned last time it was a high revenue stream.
Yep, yep.
I'd be curious,
Your donation
the
to,
feedback
whatever.
from the merchants too, I could see some seeing the value in it and others thinking, well, now you're making it more difficult for
Yeah.
people to come to my store. I think, it'll be interesting to hear
I'm assuming those will be the exact two responses we get. One, I don't think there'll be anyone in the middle. I think they're all either be all for it or all against it. But, I do get texts, emails, or just discussions about arguments happening between occupants, business storefront owners downtown of, your car's parked out all day long, we can't get shoppers in because you're there. Big deal. I work here.
my building.
Right, yeah, so. And there is current regulations down there. I honestly don't know if it's 2 or 4 hours right now, but it's there. They just haven't necessarily enforced it. So, anyways, it's bound to generate some hate mail for me, I'm sure. That's all right.
Keep you on your toes.
Nothing new, right?
Yeah. I can deal with it. Yeah. The only other, I guess, when I get to it in the action items, that's good. I'm good.
Okay. I don't know, I haven't done this the last couple of times, but Jesse, I wanted to give you an opportunity, if there's anything going on at the county or through the legislature that you wanna share with us.
When it comes to this, not really, other than, they're talking about spending a bunch of money on the jail, but nothing serious yet, so there's no big money or projects we're jumping into, so.
The highway building looks like it's almost done.
Yeah, you're not gonna hear me praising that, so. If I'm the only person to vote against it, stand behind it, so.
Yeah.
$30 million later. There we go.
Well, if there's anything, I'll keep doing that in future meetings too.
Yeah.
Anything, the current events or things going on at the legislature you wanna
I
share?
think
that
the
you
jail
should-
will be interesting, especially, it is probably a lot of employees, and it's a hot topic of, do we really need it, do we not, so, interesting, so,
Is the project to build it or to expand it or to?
renovate it,
Renovate it.
but no details yet, so we don't really know exactly what's going on yet.
That would all be funded through the state corrections, right? No.
It's a county jail, so, nothing, state only owns prisons.
Mhm. And they're shutting a lot of those down.
Yeah, that's the problem with the jail. A lot of people are like, wait, why are we paying all this money to fix a jail when we're not putting anyone in jail? So, oh, no one really knows. So, yeah.
Well, that'll be an interesting time
Yes,
to
it will.
revisit. All right, thank you.
You'll be happy to know I have no insight on that.
So didn't get too bad, Newport.
To date,
Yeah,
you're right,
right,
yeah,
right,
you're
right.
right. That market disorder we got dropped.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say, just to end the last part, bring it up, that, I'm continuing through my you know, I've been to a board meeting now, board orientation for the Finger Lakes Health, board of directors and Soldiers and Sailors, Geneva General, and the whole suite, getting a full understanding of, that's why, a much better understanding of all the different moving parts of that system, which is pretty wild. One thing I am trying to do next month, they will be joining me on the WFLR monthly show, just to try to help get the community here a little bit better understanding of what it means now that there's this affiliation with University of Rochester, and what that means here locally, and a lot of the statistics and health grades and such that are now starting to come out, recent health grades on specifically Soldiers and Sailors, but the two systems here in general, and they're really good, and it kind of flies in the face a little bit of what I think that you hear just murmuring and whispers on the streets about, you know, what is the quality of care that you get there. And the interesting thing I heard yesterday that it did surprise me. I've always been under the impression it's difficult to attract physicians here to this area, that, you know, when being a larger city, more patients, that kind of thing, and it is not their issue whatsoever. They've been sort of fully staffed here, heavily staffed for a decade. So that they've done, they've been really, maybe not lucky, but doing well in that aspect. So just kind of need that. I think they gotta really trying to help them press on the community marketing of what they offer, and the stuff that doesn't, even if they do market it, you know, it doesn't necessarily, hasn't resonated yet with some of their output. So it's kind of interesting to hear what's going on there. There's a lot of moving parts.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move on to our action items, and the first one up is the Voorhees chiropractic lease renewal.
They are, just read through some of these, but it's in the status report. Currently looking to, for a 1-year renewal on Suite 101, which is 265 square feet at $300 a month, which does include most utilities.
And if it's okay with everybody, do you mind going over all 4 leases?
Sure.
And then we could have one motion to approve the 4 if that's what everybody wants to do.
Keeney Construction, they've gone, you've seen them pop up here a number of different times. They keep renewing for like 6 months or different times, and we finally said we're not gonna do this anymore. You're using a lot of space. We don't mind you as a tenant, but there's a lot of interest in these spots. They're along the front of the building, so most of the window offices. So we just either just want a longer lease if you're gonna stay. So they agreed to a 1-year lease. So that is, you see here, a whole bunch of different suites, 109, 10, 12, 13, and 14. It's 832 square feet at $1,475 a month, which doesn't again include everything, including, that does include internet. And Jensen Brothers, and this is Doreen's husband and brother-in-law, so I've been handling this one without her. The lease renewal that I am proposing, this is a back shed. It's just a shed, but it is 500 square feet, and I'm suggesting $125 a month, which is $3 a square foot. There's no heat, there's nothing there. It's just for storage. Yeah. And that would be a 1 year. And then finally, the Estherbrook lease, cheat sheet on this one. They are currently leasing 6,400 square feet from us. They are looking to add 2,840 more square feet, basically taking over the space that did have Finger Lakes Power Systems in on the corner. So they will give them 9,240 square feet, and proposing $4,000 a month in rent, and $750 a month for various utility expenses. So that combines to work out to $6.17 a square foot. That would be a 3-year lease.
great to see them
Yeah.
expanding into this building, things are going well for them. Good.
Do your leases ever have an option for renewal automatic with a set increase?
Some do,
Yeah.
some do, yeah, and then others will have increases built into them.
Sure.
But this one doesn't.
And there's no option on this one? Kind of locks it.
They've been, how long, they've been here as long as I've been here.
They've been here a long time, and they're asset to have here. They help Joe with different things. If Joe's got something needs welding on a lawnmower, well, the old lawnmower, we have a new one now, but they were willing to help and stuff. They've been really good about.
Oh, they're expanding too, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are 4 leases then up for approval. It's items 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the agenda. I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. Is there a
A
second?
second, yes.
And Janice. Any further discussion or questions on these items? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. And then our last agenda item then is item 4, which is workforce development.
Yeah, so I had, put a little note in my.
Nice reading.
Perfect time. And I had the one little note just that, and actually Mike had it his too, talked about some of the discussions we had. Some of the current service providers and the challenge of, not the challenge, is there an opportunity, just trying to get a good feel of how many people they're working with, and are they currently employed, and if not, what's stopping them from being fully employed? And the eye opener for me was FLEDC. They are seeing 750 patients, clients out of the 3rd floor here. So it's a big number. And then another 50 that are, no, I'm sorry, that's 750. And then Catholic Charities has roughly 50 clients that they're operating very, if any, overlap whatsoever in those. FLACRA thinks assumed about 25% of, yeah, I think they said they thought about 25% of their clients were unemployed. So some are employed, about 25%. So from the training needs, we asked them like what do you have? And this won't surprise you, Marianne, because we talked about this. They said the very first thing they said is honestly like just general problem solving skills, like basic. If something goes a little awry, how do you handle it? And they said it starts from as simple as if your ride doesn't show up to get you, and transportation was listed over and over and over and over again as a real challenge here. Your ride doesn't show up. Did you call anyone else, or did you at least let your employer know that you're not coming in today? So really basic kind of communication skills, and then how to handle a conflict at work if a problem comes up, versus losing your mind and walking off the job, which I know, Marianne, you've given that example a bunch of different times, just easy general conflict, how dealing with things. So, I think there's ways to do that. She said managing peers, conflict resolution was a big one. The transportation was interesting too. Childcare came up, that while there's childcare available, does it meet those work shift schedules? And the after hour childcare is basically non-existent here. So, maybe 8 to 5, you can find some childcare, but Burkitt Mills, Silgan, Campac, Coach, they all work. They all have evening hours, weekend hours. And what do you do there? If especially for some of them where your shifts change periodically. You're not just days, you're not just nights. So how do you handle childcare in those aspects? The transportation was interesting. Pfeiffer talked about that Mosaic, which runs a pseudo public transportation system here, and they say pseudo not to belittle their efforts and what they're doing, but it's not a typical like hitting every place along the line and all this stuff. It basically mirrors a lot of the routes they run for their different, where they're taking their own clients to and such. They don't go, for instance, there isn't a stop unless a new one's been added that I'm unaware of. They don't stop at Horizon Business Park, which is where we have 3 businesses up there anyways that employ 150 plus people. They eliminated three days out of, I don't know if it was other routes or one of the routes or whatever, which forced Finger Lakes or Flackroyd to kind of go to a telehealth aspect for some of their counseling aspects, because now those clients had no way of getting here. So
That's pretty interesting. Not to cut you off,
No, no.
because they come in every quarter and do a presentation to us, and they only ever drop bus routes that have 0 ridership. So even if there's one person, they'll keep doing it. So either there must have been 0 ridership, or I don't know why it would have gotten dropped.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So I think some of it, I'm hopeful, and I'm basically just kind of downloading all the stuff right now, and just for any inputs, insights, thoughts, and follow up with additional questions or thoughts and ideas on it. Some of it, I think a lot of the stuff can be, because then the next part, and I'll get back to that, Jesse, is that they said they just aren't getting responses from local employers. Like they work with their clients, they send resumes out, and they don't hear anything back. Or they will send the clients in, and as they do the background check or whatever, a lot of the individuals might have been incarcerated or something before. They know that going in, and all of a sudden they get to the interview and they're told, nope, sorry, we can't take you because of your background, which is deflating to the person. Now, then Catholic Charities said almost the exact same thing. And so at first I was like, I don't, everything I hear from the local employers, I have a hard time believing that they're not responding to some of these. And Catholic Charities said the exact same thing. And I have heard from people, just like college students who have applied and not hearing anything back from the area. So I think a lot of it is a communication challenge. I think I'm hoping some of the challenges can simply be addressed by talking to HR managers, talking to business owners, like, are you in fact seeing these resumes? And if you're not, where's that disconnect? Because I'm hopeful a lot of this can just be solved by getting these individuals in a room together and trying to figure that out. I'm hopeful getting Mosaic in with some of them, like have them come to the table with the manufacturers, with the larger business owners, to be like, okay, here's where our employees live, here's where our shifts are. Can we do it? Like, I know Campact has told me in the past they had 20% or so of their employees walk to work. I'm sure it fluctuates, but there's no sidewalks or anything there. So, I don't know where they're coming from, but gotta be a way to try to at least help that aspect. I think I mentioned before that there's other counties where some of the employers are having their own buses, hiring, they're going out and picking up people. We have a bus manufacturer here. They do something like that. So I think it's a lot of hopefully just trying to get people together to get through some of these issues. There is for sure going to be the problem of the skills. That's going to have to be addressed, but we got bodies. I know there's money available from the in fact, after this, I'm going to workforce development to see just again what programs they have right now. And then, you know, the amount of grant dollars that have gone up through the regional councils for skill training, basically in the cities, in the urban areas, has been, there's a lot, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars has gone into that. So, and now there's a definite interest in awareness of the rural workforce development and how we get those skills with transportation. Okay, knowing is a real challenge, because there's no density. There isn't going to be a solution that's likely going to make any money for Mosaic or whoever takes it on. It's not going to be a money. There's too many miles to travel to pick up too few people. That's why you see these bus routes generally only in the cities.
I don't think the county's made a dollar on Mosaic. I think we've lost a lot of money. But that's why, I mean, they kind of, even if one person rides, they'll still take him. So if it was something that you really wanted him up there, Steve, I could bring it up at a meeting, and I'm sure I could push a bus route up there if we really wanted to get something going and see it happen. So.
Well, yeah, and
we do have the lowest unemployment, actually, which is shocking compared to all the counties around us. So I think the problem really, as we have a lot of talks about this, is it's not, people don't want to do the jobs that are being hired for, you know, because I mean, I'm telling you right now, I actually watched a video on a guy starting from homeless to see if he could work his way up, and right now you could go, there's 10 or 12 different jobs that you could walk into and they could put you in right now. I just don't think people don't want to go work in vineyards anymore. People don't want to work construction. Everyone's expecting, you know, I guess I call them cushy. No offense to anyone who is cushy, but I grew up working construction my whole life, so it's like there's not a lot of that around, you know. So
I guess what's tough for the routes is that if people, you know, you might have people on a route that you would, you know, make the efforts for, but then they don't stay with the job long enough, and then, you know, if there's just so much of a turnover, exactly, and I think that's it exactly, is that people don't want those jobs that we're looking for. It is.
Well, so one of the interesting things that Catholic Charities brought up is they deal with a lot of non-able-bodied, I guess, I'm not sure the correct term used for it anymore, but on training them for basic job function skills, and one of them they were talking about was working for one of the dollar stores, wanted to learn how to run the cash register. They had a job coach with them. That particular business didn't want the job coach in there while they were training, so Catholic Charities brought the cash register in to the second floor here, trained the individual here on how to use the cash register, and then they went in and are now running the cash register.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a, you know, and that fits the need. And I was thinking about some of the jobs you were talking about, Mary, and
It's just really tough to take someone that doesn't have the skills and put them in the job, because if you've got a lean workforce, you know, you don't have enough help to spend with someone that needs that help. Then there's the frustration, then there's the name calling, and then you've got the conflict, you know, it just, but we tried to work with Catholic Charities, and it got pretty far with someone, and unfortunately we found out we might not have understood from the beginning that they couldn't read. Well, it got pretty far along, and then they said, you know, well, this person cannot read, and we're like, well, that's such a risk for our business if you can't read. It's a safety risk, you know, there's so much that goes along with that a business might not want to absorb that kind of risk, you know. There's so many different things that come into play, but certainly if companies are looking for employees, and then there's all these employees available that are sending their resume, both those can't be true. You know, without, it's a lack of communication for sure. Like, how do we make this fit? And I think every company should employ a taxi driver that'll go and get people that say, hey, my car just broke down, we're coming to get you. I mean,
yeah.
That's not an everyday thing, but go pick them up. We've done that before. go pick someone up, that they're.
For larger employers, it is an everyday thing, for sure, it might be
Yeah.
a different
Oh,
person
sure.
each day, but it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one of the elements too, Marianne, to your point, is having the companies evolve their thinking, like you were saying, Marianne, okay, in today's world where we sit in a rural community, we need to have an affordable option for transportation that's at risk or whatever, or whatever they're, and make it a program. But I know from where I sit, which isn't in your chairs, just watching my colleagues in HR and trying to have the time to match the jobs, to get the manager to be willing to, this person is a great fit, you can see from a talent perspective, right? But they miss this one skill. Certainly the reading piece, that would be an extraordinary circumstance, but I have 2 nephews that fall into those programs. And they are so proud to be in those jobs, and they do the very, very best they can. I'm not saying that's all true, but it took really kind people to nurture them to that point, right? And so, I guess my point, Sue, is it's not unique to Yates County.
Oh, no.
For sure, but if we could start to think about it differently, like break the mold, like, okay, it's not Mosaic, it is, Ubers or whatever, and if maybe there's a way we can have a fund that helps businesses do that, or proof of concept, or whatever it might be, with the help of Sreen and Marianne to say what that would look like. I would just be guessing, but I think it's like we gotta break the mold.
Can you talk a little bit about internally we've talked a little bit about how do we train our folks that come in, because we have a lot of those different components. But it is a big lift. You do have to build another department to be able to train people and go through those pieces. And we get reading and writing components, and there are tools out there. There's AI and there's dictation, so there's resources that can help with the reading and the writing, right? But we have to teach the people how to use it and how to be able to be successful in the field. But we are lean, and it would mean that we need to have another position, and we would need to have people that would mentor and support and coach, and we just don't have those resources to build that. So yeah, having, like, where do we get those resources to get that within our budget to be able to build a program like that, to be able to start building within our communities and build from our own. So we've talked about that, and we're looking, like, maybe there's some USDA funding out there, or there's funding out there that we can do some kind of training and be able to have a cohort of people. They don't have to be in the same area, because you could use video and use the different technologies out there to be able to support an adult education program, but then have on the ground, on the floor, people to support that work, to work with you. Because we even use that same concept for our providers, because we're in a rural area. You take a provider that's used to a lot of amenities and put them in Ovid, they're not going to last. They're going to be like, their partners or families are just going to say that this is not where I want to be living. So we need to partner them up with other people to be able to make some friends and relationships to stay in the community. Otherwise, they leave, because their needs are not being met. So there's both aspects, the working piece and then the social component is what we're working with too. So
Train of thought there. I had something I was gonna add to that. Oh, out of the pool, the expectation is not all 800 of these individuals will end up, 100% gainfully, fully, long-term employed, but if we can get 10% of them, if we can get 30, 20 of them to go, and then maybe we'd love to see them become then the job coach or the mentor, and then reach out to one more each, each of them then can grab one more, be their sort of their mentor, and just kind of build this thing. It is certainly not an overnight fix, and I don't have any idea how to address the non-standard hour childcare.
I was chuckling at that, because that's not just with manufacturer, because I would get so much in trouble, because if you're right, if it's after 5, I would get so fined, because after after 6 o'clock or 5:30, I'd get fined because I didn't get to my kid in time. My poor kids were using my
By your, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, but, and it is, and even if you're, I mean, we're in a rural community, so if I was to be in Geneva or in another spot, there's no way you're gonna make it back in time by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So even if you're not in manufacturing, even if you're in your 9 to 5 kind of a job, you still need that those evening.
Yeah, I brought up the manufacturing rights here, you know, they said it's just specified the manufacturing. The reason I said manufacturing is because of the added challenge they have that.
They need longer hours.
They need longer hours, but even the 4 largest manufacturers we have all run completely different schedules.
Yeah.
They're not, there is, like, it's not like, just even if we got Mosaic to run someone up to Horizon, what time do you send them? Because
Right.
All over.
Coach starts at 6, Campback starts at 7, you know, Silgan starts at 8, and they just, like, they're all over the place. So I want to try to see if there's any chance of, whether it helps or not, who knows, but if, you know, if we can start to find some common shift schedules between the employers, would that help? Would it hurt? Would you see even more employees running around, you know, kind of job hopping, you know, they get it figured out one way or not, so.
I know in our industry, the state had a program, apprenticeship program, where they pay a firm like us to bring somebody on and put a training, and then it was in the state DOT highway bridge arena. And the state actually paid us to train somebody to, learn. And I would just think there would be some sort of similar state funding program that we could research.
To pay people to train,
Pay
or to pay the company?
employees,
Yeah, there
the
is.
companies, yeah.
There is,
Yeah.
but I can't speak to it right now, but there is criteria that makes it kind of difficult to fall into that.
I'm sure it's work involved to make it work, but when it will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And then I like your idea of almost an Uber
Yeah,
concept.
yeah.
Because that could be specific and on-demand type of thing versus a Mosaic, which is, rightfully so, has to have a scheduled route. But the on-demand thing might work, you just gotta find people that want it.
Well, also, I mean, if there's Uber drivers here with, especially seasonal, I know there's probably a couple more in the summer than in the winter because people wanna drink and not drive, which is a good thing. But, it
Yeah.
employs more people.
Yeah.
We could get a pool of people who were willing to be Uber drivers across a certain amount of time and then they got paid, I don't know, the county or somebody supports them in addition to the individual fares.
Something that's interesting, and the technology may be a barrier. There's a very active pool of drivers in the area with the Mennonite community. I mean, there are
Yes.
probably 30 different people who, at least every day or every other day, are driving
Good
people to
point.
and from for hire.
Sure.
They're available, they have the cars, they, you know, so if there's a means of communicating and connecting to them, that resource is there, it's just how do you tap into it?
They have a beacon or something.
Yeah.
Mennonites don't use self-pump pumps, do they?
Only for their business.
Yeah, you'll see my construction crews and that type of thing when they're away from home, but typically
I
not
mean,
for
maybe
personal
then if
use.
that was a business.
But the
use.
drivers are people with cell phones, and so we see it, you know, at the bank. All day, there's a van that pulls up and a group of different people, you know, from that same street or the name, you know, they'll coordinate carpool to save funds. But the driver, there's a number of people, that's their full-time job, is to be
They're communicating somehow.
a driver for hire, and they have a phone. The drivers have cell phones.
Okay, well, that's all.
And then
driver.
the different families will have a particular driver they'll use, and if they're busy, they'll go to somebody else. So I'm not really sure how.
They advertise in the flame.
Yeah, do they? Yeah.
So, they put it in the flame, they're like, hey, you need a ride, call this number, it's usually how they do it. Yeah,
What's the flame?
that's a Mennonite newspaper.
Sorry.
Is it every other week, I think it goes out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife used to have to do it when she was at the county doing immunizations. They put all the immunizations in there and it reaches out to a lot of them, so that's how they do it. But anyways, a little off topic.
No, it's good.
You know, I employers would absorb the charge for the
Yeah.
employee. That's, you know what I mean, they want to be able to do things like that as an extra benefit to the employee. If you need to pay to get yourself here, we'll pay that. It's minimal, right?
Mhm.
And we're
Yes.
always looking for, how
Especially-
can we come up with more things to do for them within, you know, a reasonable kind of,
It's gotta be less than firing or rehiring.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
And lost downtime,
Yeah.
or just lost uptime.
Potential resource partner to keep in mind on the literacy front, there's an organization that's in Canandaigua, but it serves Ontario and Yates, it's literacy volunteers in Ontario and Yates. And I was on the board for a few years.
Don't they have a storefront over by the Pinyon Diner?
They, yes, they do, they do, and they have, that's on 332 Main Street, Canandaigua, they have an office there, they have, but adult literacy is what they focus on, and they have a pool of tutors, and they line people up with one-to-one services, and they do also focus on getting people, helping get GEDs or alternative degree programs after school.
Our ag workers use it a lot too,
Yeah.
right, for out of school youth,
Nice.
English and
Yeah, yes, so, yeah,
And I guess the last element that I'll share, and there has been some great ideas with this, so appreciate you letting me take some time with it. Catholic Charities, right, said they were starting to have more interaction now with immigrants coming into the area. I don't know whether or not they're legally or not, but they said they are seeing more of them. They're working with more of them, which is bound to be coming. Yeah, like it's bound to be here. I don't know, Serena, how many years, like just from on the farm side, the ag side that you're seeing, but that's to me also an untapped.
Well, for me, what's neat to see is that we've had diversity in the community. It's just been hidden for so long, and now we're seeing it inside, like it's more visible. The school districts are seeing it as well. They're having to have more bilingual education components done, English as second language classes. I heard that Dundee hadn't had for years or decades. I was told that they didn't need to have a bilingual education program, and now they do because they have like over 30 kids now that are not English speaking. I see it in Penyan School District, which is neat to see. So yeah, there's a lot of folks that are coming in, and I don't know if they're all ag workers or not. So,
Yeah, but again, that's so sort of like this group that's with Black Road and Catholic Charities and literacy and that group. How do you find them, activate them if they're not activated, like and help them through whatever those roadblocks are to getting them employed. There's a woman I have a call into. Hoping to talk to her early next week through American Enterprise Institute. She's out in Colorado, and she runs a manufacturing business doing food packaging company. Only deals with single mothers. That's basically all she'll employ, and they're nearly 100% of them, as she starts working with them, have not been able to hold down a job longer than like 6 months. And whatever she's doing, and she's getting a lot of national recognition on this, that she has this huge success rate and she graduates them. Like they don't necessarily stay employed with her, but she tracks them, and like 90% of them end up staying employed for longer than a year at the next business they go to. So how are they solving the child care issue? How are they solving those needs? So hoping to talk to her next week to see how get a little bit better idea of how that, just any of these ideas to try to
Does
fix
Catholic
this a little
Charities
bit.
have like a mentorship or a training program where they can assign somebody out
Yeah.
in the industry?
Absolutely. They had 12 different vocational or workforce programs that they offer. And they do on-site job training, but some of the issues are just that disconnect between the employer and Catholic Charities, where either the employer doesn't fully understand what it is, they don't want that job coach on site. The job coach obviously can't do all the on-site with them, they'll do off-site training. They have a similar program to what you were mentioning where they, the state will actually pay the wage of the individual for 3 months with the expectation that it turns into long-term employment, but it's a training period basically that's the no cost to the employer. So they have a variety of services that will do
Since
that.
Flat Bread has 20-minute specialists, I can't remember the term they use now.
For specialists.
But, you know, that sees 20, they only have one right now. It sees like 20 people, but they're not seeing a lot of success out of it, so they're trying to figure out is it worth having that role, which would seem to be, but they came back, they're one of the ones they were on, like, we can't get the employers to respond to these resumes. So there's gotta be a pretty simple answer for that challenge. The rest of them maybe not so simple, but anyways.
One thing before we leave the topic that might be helpful, I got invited to go to this, it was an economic development thing, but City of Rochester and Finger Lakes region, but it was Wayne and Ontario County mostly. There was a round table and it had people from the city and all the diversity, equity, and inclusion was a focus, but on business attraction and job growth. And there were a lot of different offices that are unique to the city of Rochester, but there were a lot of banks and some economic development and chamber people. But as everybody went out around the room and talked about what they did, we were like, oh, I didn't know that program existed.
Yeah.
And so one of the outcomes of that roundtable was there's a person that's putting together that, you know, what's your name, what's your organization, and what services do you provide? And, you know, we all gave a paragraph blurb about what we do, and so I'll have that document at some point, which might be interesting to share just because there's some of the similar overlaps. But that might be a good idea to host a roundtable or to put together a resource library for here of what all these programs are. It's something you could share to the manufacturer and any of the employers.
Yeah,
What service providers are in the area.
We mentioned doing almost like a reverse job fair and having those service providers, it's the same thing, same concept with the roundtable, having those providers here with employers to be like, all right, here's our applicants, here's the programs we can offer. How do we engage to fill certain needs?
It seems to me, I've sat through many conversations like that with, here's the resources, but again, there's always something that prevents us from being able to take advantage of that resource. So maybe it's understanding what keeps employers, because I mean, I wish I had $1 for every time I talked to a workforce development about their resources and how we could use them. And there was always something that kept us from, that disqualified us from using them. You know, and a lot of times it might have been the barriers that we have in our business. A lot of times it's safety. We have to worry about safety and somebody coming in, like a trainer coming in, like for cafeterias and helping, or again, it's for lean, like Sri was talking about, having that extra person. But if maybe they could understand some of the obstacles that the employer has for taking advantage of that.
Sure. Yep.
Just as much as what are the resources, because we're always looking for help.
Yeah.
If they tweak their program in a certain way to make it fit, then.
Yeah, because like I mean, one thing that I'm sure there's a way around it, when you talk about the business, that the lady is running with just single mothers, I mean, to me, that sounds like somebody could say, that's discrimination, I wanna come work with you.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be a single mother, no,
Yeah, I don't know if it's just
you know,
single mothers or not,
but still,
right,
that, it's a good concept, but how do you work around that?
Yep.
Because there's always the state stopping you from, New York State labor laws are different than other states, and there's always
Yeah, but I think,
something
that was,
stopping you.
I'm sure she has others, but I'm also sure that, the concept was more in that case, whether or not it is or isn't all that.
It's just,
How are they, what are they doing for the
Yeah.
success rate that they're doing? What support mechanisms are there to do it? Because I'm sure Colorado's got their same, it has their issues with limits and that sort of thing. It's likely not as many as New York, but there's bound to be some, there's not one fix for anything. And
No,
I think the
right.
pain threshold for the employers is elevated too, to where maybe there's gonna be a little bit more flexibility than there had been in the past, maybe not, but, yeah, I think it still goes to just collecting everything, and state workforce development programs haven't really changed since the almost 25 years that I've been doing this. Still the same on-the-job training funds. They're still the same. They haven't flexed yet, and so there are going to be many reasons why they don't work. But a lot of these other programs have nothing to do with that. So.
Steve, I have a question on workforce development from a seasonal worker perspective, but we may not have time to talk about it today with urgent or anything. So I was, when I was reading the reports, and I was, still hearing how many, where you go to a restaurant, how difficult it is to get, good service because there aren't enough bodies, right? And looks like Amy's on. Morning, Amy. In talking with Megan, and they're developing the hospitality, program, and in the summertime, if the college has housing, is there a joint program that is developed where people can live at the college and work in the wineries or the restaurants or whatever that somehow links to Amy's hospitality, Megan's work, and then addresses the housing issue where they can't afford to live here. And I know I don't know what meal services there would be at the college, obviously have to be worked out, but I was just trying to think of things that intersected to solve the seasonal workforce issue that we seem to have in terms of people being here, even finding a place to stay. And because you could live what a beautiful place to live for the summer. You walk down to the shore of the lake and work at a beautiful winery. It sounds pretty sweet.
Right, especially, I think for the hospitality, the food industry here, to be able to, students, if they wanted to stay and actually utilize all of that the campus has to offer, when they can utilize it in the summer, right, when it's fun. Hi, Amy.
Yeah, it's a challenging proposition because the reality of the timing is that it doesn't exactly work, and that we start back up in mid-August. So while we could have people living year-round, their hours that they would be available to work might shift once they start classes again. But it is definitely something that we are willing to do, and it is a low-cost place for our students to stay for the summer. The problem is in the marketing. So when our previous person was marketing, our career services person, they would say part-time job fair. Our students can't afford to work part-time over the summer. They have to work full-time in order to be able to afford their studies. So we need to have some clarity there, because they can make a very significant amount of money working for the restaurants over the summer and staying on campus. So I think we got a handle on it now, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm actually working with Pete, because from VP Marketing at Cuca, on something, how to market it better, how to package this thing
Yeah, I
to
was just
do
seeing
that.
those three things come together, which you guys are already on it, so
Yeah, you do.
sounds good.
Perhaps someone promote how much money they could make in June and July, or
Right.
something that give a testimonial with an example of this worked great for me.
Well, taking from what Amy was saying, they would do they do part-time job fairs twice a year, and the one that was done in the spring usually had very poor attendance from the students, because we're not staying here for the summer. Like, we have to go home. So why would we apply for something that's not going to be in the home? But so you got to market it to them early as an opportunity. Hey, we have a place for you if you want to stay on campus here for the summer. Here are the available jobs for you, that sort of thing. So it's got to be, we got to get to them early.
Amy, is transportation an issue for them as well during the summer?
Not most of them, maybe freshmen, but it's hard to get to the college. So
but again, all not all, a lot of the, at least, I don't know, a number of the grape farmers I'm aware of will run out, pick up their help in the morning and bring them back. So, you know, I can't imagine it'd be too different if, for a restaurant owner, if they, you see the pleads you get in the paper now, like, we'll hire anybody.
Yeah.
Servers, bussers, bartenders, we cooks, we need them all. As Mary, versus the lost revenue opportunities, the cost of sending someone out to grab them, if they don't have transportation, is pretty minimal. But
Amy, would that qualify for a field period for the kids? Could they get paid and get a field period at the same time, or no?
Not if they're working like restaurant, shop, kind of front of the house, back of the house stuff. If they were doing some financials, maybe, but, so when we bring back the hospitality major, we do not expect to attract a lot of 18-year-olds who are just graduating from high school. What we expect is that, a lot of employers will want their employees to go through whatever trainings that we have. In those cases, maybe a field period, but not for, wait staff or hostess or any of that, probably.
But you see, this is, I love this conversation, and we can continue on it or move on, but that document you talked about, it's all of these sort of different, maybe underutilized resources that trying to get them all together, that you gotta increase the likelihood of the percentages of some of filling some of these vacancies. I mean, you'd have to. It'd be kind of crazy to think of 800, 900 college students and 800 employees who are receiving services here in the area that you can't get some percentage of them to fill in here for these different positions. Not all of them, but again, if you can get 50, that's a big number. But anyways.
A good conversation to continue at this meeting, or at these meetings, not this month, this one's over, but. And then the next one. Our next meeting date is August 21st. Now, there's a comment about having a boat ride or having something else?
Jim Long has graciously agreed to host us and do a boat ride on the lake. If we would like to, we just need to get him some dates to make sure that he'd be available on those dates.
Yeah, in the past, we used to do this a while back, it kind of fell off. It doesn't necessarily have to be a boat ride, but I guess just gauging if there's an interest to do something as a board outside of just listening to us tell you things. That, more of a recreational aspect, fun aspect, if there's an appetite for that, and if so, is there any date that makes sense to get people, try to get us together here while they're still decent?
I think it's a great idea.
I mean,
That date, but in the afternoon. I mean,
We did used to do that. We'd move our board meetings on that date to the afternoon and then go from the board meeting.
have a short board meeting and then.
Short
go
board
over
meeting
to
and then-
Jim's place
Yep.
across the road and do a pontoon boat ride.
Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to. The town of Barrington sees me riding a boat, on a boat, and Wednesday afternoon, they probably won't.
What if we go into
If
Barrington?
you go into East Lake Road and find everyone building illegal structures, we can definitely do it, and that would be, yeah.
We'll just have to travel far enough up the lake.
Yeah.
can I ride along with you? It sounds like a very interesting
I gotta
thing.
tell you, it's not, if you like getting yelled at every day, it's the job for you, but that's about it, so.
You just,
No.
3 awes.
No, well, you're always the bad guy.
Alright, so maybe we'll circulate an email with
Sure.
some times or see if Jim might be available that day. If not, we can look at another day
Okay.
in the afternoon. Okay, thank you, everyone. I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second, Jim.
All right, we are adjourned. adjourned. Thanks,
See
Amy.
you.